There's a kind of a little saying that death happens on page 2 of Google because nobody finds you. Because if you're not up there at the top, then people aren't finding you.
Hello and welcome to the Service-Based Business Society podcast. I am your host, Tiffany-Ann. If you are ready to scale your success, grow your business, and live that entrepreneurial life, click subscribe because we're about to get started. Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Today, we're going to talk about all things online marketing. We have a special guest in the studio, and we're going to be talking about different things that you can do to optimize your website for Google, different things that you can be doing as a business owner that can really help you ensure that people can find you online. Because here's the thing, just having a website isn't enough. Having a website that's beautiful, also not enough. If Google doesn't know your business exists, ultimately, it's really hard for any of your prospective future clients to find you. So we have a special guest, Lois Wyant, in the studio, and she's going to be talking about all different kinds of Google rules, tips and tricks, things that you can do to optimize your online presence. Welcome to the show, Lois.
Thank you. Hi, Tiffany. How are you?
I'm great. And how are you doing?
Hey, it's wonderful here. Living the dream.
I really feel like entrepreneurship really is that embrace the lifestyle and live the dream. Otherwise, it can be a little hairy at times.
I think, an entrepreneurship is hairy most of the time.
I would say that's accurate.
You really have to grasp the whole concept. And even though I've been in business for a really long time, I'm continually learning how to control my time. And it's a really big lesson to learn.
I think that truly is actually one of the biggest challenges of entrepreneurship. And I've kind of spoken about it on previous episodes, in that ultimately, when you're doing your own thing, you don't really answer to anyone, your customers, your team, and that type of thing. But if you've decided, hey, I'm going down a rabbit hole today, no one's telling you that you can't. And sometimes that can be a little bit tricky.
Yeah, it can be. I'm learning more to time block.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is off topic and probably not the direction you want to go, but I recently read the book, The One Thing. I can't think of the guy. I can't think of the Keller, I think is the author's name. But it's talked about that 80% of our money making time is done in 20%, or 80% of our money is done in 20% of our time.
100%.
So I kind of really, really analyzed that. And I figured that realistically, I'm using 3 hours of my day to really make money. So now I really focus that 3 hours now. And it's really made a difference because now I don't feel guilty if I'm checking my emails after my 3 hours, or I don't feel guilty picking up my grandchildren from school because I got my 3 hours in. So I think that, learning tips like that through entrepreneurship makes a big difference.
It's so interesting. There's such valuable information out there about, and so many different perspectives. But I think that, when that 80-20 really is applied in so many spots of our business and is so valuable. And I actually, at one point when we started the agency, I remember for a long time, we just tracked time, we just write it down. And I was doing a lot of high touch services at that time, spending a lot of time doing in client systems and doing work. And what I thought I was spending time on, once we actually got a system and I ran it for a few months to actually track, and it would if you switched a window, and it was absolutely mind-blowing how long I was actually spending on time on doing things. And so very interesting, the great concept of, once you're outside of that time, you can not feel so guilty about doing those other things, because yes, there's things coming at us all day. So we're going to talk a little bit about how you got into entrepreneurship. So we've kind of talked a little bit about the upsides and downsides already, but how did you get into this crazy, hairy world?
So, okay, my dad was a filler brush man. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
No.
But okay, so it was like a door-to-door salesperson, kind of like an Avon if you have that around your area. But it was a filler brush man, and he had a region, so he was in charge of lots of people. And so in elementary school, I was in charge of stamping his contact information on the little pamphlets that he gave out. So even though he worked for a large company, it was pretty much, this is your business, you run it. So I kind of grew up with that concept of, make sure the stamp looks nice, make sure this does nice, and that type of thing. So then when I got into high school, I actually took a cake decorating class. And my mom, within a couple of months of taking this club, signed me up, volunteered me to do a friend's wedding cake. Well, it was definitely a learning experience. But from there, I actually paid for my college doing cakes. And there would be times where I'd have 3 or 4 tiered wedding cakes around the house, waiting to for their wedding day. So that really helped me in that as a high school person, a high school student, organizing my time, figuring out when I was going to bake cakes, when I was going to decorate cakes, ice them, organizing my calendar, organizing my money. I mean, it was really an amazing experience. Then after college, I met my husband and he had a photography studio. And so I joined him in that business because my major was business, but my minor was photography. And so together we worked and built this one of the top 5% photography studios in the country. And we were doing 250 weddings a year, high school seniors, families. It was a big business. And through that process, I learned a lot of organization. But we were one of the first studios to have a website. That's been a while. And so I started us out with the website and I was in charge of the marketing. And so I just loved the concept of learning so many things and things changing so quickly and just really jumping from one thing to another because things keep changing. And so my husband decided to retire, but I wasn't ready to stop doing things. And so I continued that internet marketing concept with other clients. And so today I am helping people with their SEO, their website, their video marketing, their reputation marketing, and all the fun stuff.
Marketing is such an exciting thing to be a part of. And when you're talking about, your studio being one of the first to have a website, I mean, you're dating yourself a little there. That it goes a long way back, but it's so interesting because still to this day, you get the business owners, I don't have a website. I don't need a website. And I think, but these days, almost everything has a website. But I think that there's this kind of piece that we think once we have a website, that's our marketing. That's our marketing strategy. What is the marketing strategy? Well, we have a website or, oh, we have Facebook. And so, I mean, that's not really a full marketing strategy per se.
That's true. I mean, I remember one time sitting up in my office we still had the studio and thinking how different my life would be if I had the marketing budget of like Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
What would I be able to do? And I think that through internet marketing, it kind of levels the playing field a little bit more. You don't have to have the Walmart type of marketing, but you do need to be wise about what you're doing online. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of things that, having a website up makes it a presence, but if Google's not connecting you with people who are looking for your services, then it's almost like not having a website. There's a kind of a little saying that death happens on page 2 of Google because nobody finds you. Because if you're not at the top, then people aren't finding you. So there's things you have to do to your website other than just put it up.
Oftentimes we get, a lot of times people in today's age, when you're doing the website, it's really when you're working on your, it's let's get the logo and the colors and the branding. We need a website. And oftentimes there's such a focus on aesthetics and less about the functionality. And yes, we want the website to be very on brand and beautiful and all of these things, but there is that functionality piece so that people can actually find your website that is so critical and often kind of overlooked from a standpoint. And one of the things that I've really seen is that great web designers who really focus on the aesthetics, some of the people who put out the most absolutely beautiful websites do so only from an aesthetics standpoint. And some of the people who really focus on the, functionality, the optimization, making sure Google can find some of the people that only focus on that can put out some of the ugliest websites. And it's the magic actually happens when we combine those two so that number one, people can find the website. And then when they open the website, it doesn't look like a dog's breakfast.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that is true. But on the other side, I'd rather have an ugly website on page 1 than a beautiful website on page 5. So you do want to be
Absolutely.
balanced in that, but it does make a difference in there.
I think, absolutely. I could not agree more because, like you said, if bad things happen on page 2, page 5, no one is finding you on page 5. Let's be honest. I mean, and as a searching for anything, when is the last time that you made it through 5 pages and we're still looking? You've already at this point you've moved on. You've gotten distracted 3 times. You've went down. You've gone a different direction. And so, but when we're thinking marketing, when we're thinking branding, when we're going online, a lot of times, that first piece is what web developer can I find? It's all based, or what web template, if the people are going DIY, it's all focused on, is it pretty?
Yeah, I think the focus is there, which, that really is the wrong focus because Google has certain rules.
Hmm.
And if you're not following their rules, you can't get on page 1. So no matter how pretty it is, and being pretty is not one of Google's rules. So there
That's
are
correct.
specific things that if you don't do this, Google will not even consider putting you towards the top of the searches.
Right. Right. So outside of websites, what other types of marketing are you super passionate about? Because we kind of said, just having Facebook and a website, that's not really a marketing strategy. So what other kind of marketing do you find yourself passionate about?
Well, another one of which would be considered one of Google's rules is having Google reviews. Because Google reviews does multiple things. First off, it assures people that you're actually in business because recent reviews have been left for you. It also tells Google that you're in business and that people like you because they're leaving reviews. And a lot of people just think that a lot of business owners will just say, well, if I've got Google reviews, then people will, if they're happy, then they'll go and they'll leave a review. But one thing you need to take in consideration, kind of that 80-20 rule again,
Hmm.
that a larger percentage of people who are unhappy with you are more likely to leave a review than people who are happy for you. So what you need to do is make it an effort to really get those Google reviews because 80% of the people searching for businesses will read the reviews. And so you've got to ask for those reviews, either sending an email, a text, having a business card with a QR code or a link to your Google reviews, or even sending a postcard maybe a week after or just 2 days after you do the service and sending out a postcard saying, hey, we hope you were happy. Please leave us a review. And those are just, if somebody is happy with your business, they're absolutely going to be excited to leave you a review. But sometimes we just have to be prompted or reminded that that's a good thing to do for the business.
Absolutely. And I feel like those who are in a business to business type relationship with people are often because the other side, because your customer understands the value of the reviews, oftentimes those people are very willing to go and leave you a review because in turn they are trying to get reviews for their own business. And so they often it's the people who don't understand the value that are the most hard to motivate. I have a funny story for that. When I first started out, I wanted that first Google review. This was in your mind you're like, I need a Google review. And so at the time I was helping my dad out with a few things. And so I said to my dad, I said, don't worry. He's like, oh, I'll pay you. And I said, don't worry about paying me. If you could just leave me a Google review. And so for months, I sent him this, I said, Dad, can you just leave me that review? Dad, I just need that Google review. And he was, oh, yeah, 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 yeah. And so I said to him, I cornered him at one point at a family event. And I said, Dad, do you not feel you're getting value for what you paid? I said, is this the concern? Because he hadn't paid me anything. So it was kind of funny. And I was like, I need that Google review. And he said, I'll be honest, I don't know how to leave a Google review.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my, and so then we got through this because it was like this rigmarole. And so it's funny though how some of us assume that something like that is super straightforward. But I think the other complexity sometimes with Google reviews is that some businesses have the opportunity for so many reviews. If you think about say a hair salon that has 6 different chairs going at once and they see 4 different people a day each time, well, that's all of those opportunities. And then you have other businesses that you may deal with one customer for the next 6 weeks and then you might be moving on to the next one. And so it's very hard at times to collect as many reviews, and that can be a real struggle.
And Google takes that into consideration as far as taking into consideration the type of business and approximately how many customers somebody might have. So that
Right.
is kind of factored in.
Right. Okay. And so what else are some of these other Google rules that we should be thinking about?
All right. Well, The number one thing is your site has to be mobile friendly. And you can actually Google, of course, mobile friendly tests. And the reasoning is that 60% of the people, and it might be up a little higher now, but 60 to 70% of the people are actually searching for your business on their mobile phones. So mobile friendly means that rather than your content going wide this way, when you look at it a phone, it goes vertical. So now all your pictures and everything go underneath each other. Tabs become bigger because our fingers have to hit it on the phone. The pictures become smaller because they're on the phone. So those are mobile friendly. So Google is not going to put you on the first page if you do not pass the mobile friendly test. Another thing, going back to the mobile thing, is if your site doesn't load Google quickness, you can't get on the first page. So, and there's certain things that can cause your website not to be Google fast. Maybe your pictures are too big, you have too much content. There's just different things. Often I find that when I do a test or a website review for somebody, what happens is they have too many plugins that they're not using on the back end. So deleting some of the plugins that they're not using makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the third thing that's really important. And this one, when it came out, honestly, it kind of made me mad. But Google will rank people higher who get more clicks on their website. They're kind of like, well, how do I get more clicks on my website if I'm not on the first page anyway? So it's kind of Google's thought is that if people are clicking on your website, then it must be good. They must be getting what they want. So we're going to put you on the first page.
Right.
Which, turning that around, then we actually found a tool that it's an AI tool that will actually automate like a person who visits your website. So it goes into your website, it goes to the home page, it goes to like a page that you're trying to rank higher, and then it goes to the contact page, and it sits there for a few minutes, and then it goes off. So that tells the algorithm of Google that somebody is visiting your page. And so that can help get those clicks in there and give the algorithm for the Google saying that people are actually visiting your website more. So that's a tool that can actually help, because I really think that rule is kind of unfair. That's my opinion.
Well, I think it's definitely a challenge when you're first starting out. When you go back to
Mm-hmm.
that discussion about Walmart budget versus, like a brand new startup, it's, you have this great idea. You've decided you're going to start a business. Now you've invested in a website now, and so, but now it's definitely nowhere near the top, but it's kind of that age old thing about getting the snowball rolling. And so kind of what you're talking about there is once you get the clicks going, then it can help move it up and then we can actually get more clicks. So
Mm-hmm.
now, there's been some discussion lately about AI and being penalized for Google and that kind of thing. And so in a tool like that, do you think that there's any downside to using?
I will tell you, I love AI. I just love it. I am using AI for so many things. I would say that obviously you want to read the content and humanize it,
Mm-hmm.
putting it on your website. But some of the things I love about AI is AI videos. My clients' videos are ranking so well and getting so much clicks, especially shorts, which are now longer. Did you know that they changed the shorts from 60 seconds to 3 minutes? It's kind of like, well, that's not a short. But the timing has changed for shorts. So AI video is doing really well for me. Doing the content, because our clients, we change the content for them 4 times a year. So it really helps us in updating content. And so, yeah, I think that AI is really wonderful, and it just helps me organize my day.
Right. Yes, AI. I absolutely love AI. It's interesting how so many different people are using AI in so many different ways. So the AI tool you mentioned for the search clicks, what is that tool called?
Site Pop. I'll get you a link for it.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, it can be sometimes finding these different tools and whatnot for different all for different things, whether it be a new AI tool, whether it be a new optimization tool, even that link that you mentioned, drop in the show notes for checking the mobile friendliness of a site can be very valuable because oftentimes most websites, especially, you design most times the website for desktop, and the mobile is almost the afterthought. It's like you've got it all done. Now you check the mobile, you're like, yeah, that's good. But ultimately, when you're talking about how many people are using mobile, really that's the more important version, because most eyeballs are seeing the mobile version.
Right. Another AI thing that I have not started yet, I'm actually just learning it. There's an AI chatbot, and not the current style chatbot where it comes up and says, "Hey, I'm your AI, whatever. Which of these will help you best?" And then gives you like three options for you to click on. This one actually talks to you like it's a person.
Hmm.
And it's just really cool because you just put all this information into the AI platform and you train it about all your services and your details and your prices. And it actually can have a real conversation with people. And that's
Hmm.
going to be really amazing. And there's also coming out an AI that will like answer your phone. So just picture this because I know that will freak people out. But let's say that you're an auto repair store, all right? And somebody calls and a chat answers the phone and it recognizes the phone number so it knows who it is because it's got that information. So it answers the phone and says, "Hi, Karen, how are you doing today? I see that it's about time for you to have an oil change. Is that why you're calling?" So the person is so excited because somebody actually knows their name. They know what is coming up, why they should probably be calling. And it's just personal, even though it's an AI chat. And then that AI chat can talk to them and say, "Is there anything else we should be looking at for your card?" And they say, "Oh, no, I think that's it." "Well, then how about is this date and time good for you?" So it answers the phone, personalizes it, and makes the appointment. Now, I've had people say, "Well, that's putting somebody out of business." But is it really? Because if you're a small business owner, are you putting somebody out of business or are you putting somebody in a place where they can do more for your company?
Hmm. Absolutely. There's a shortage of people in many roles. I actually was just before we were recording this, I was just meeting with a client and we were talking about the fact, she says, I have all these customers, I have my location, but I'm really like, I need more people and I'm really struggling to find them. And so, yes, there's this discussion about, taking jobs, but ultimately right now, the bigger issue as a business owner, I find across many industries is actually that there's just not enough people to fill all the roles that people are hiring for. And I think obviously depending on industry, sometimes there's more and sometimes there's less, but that can be a real challenge. So any help that we can get that's still a great customer experience is super
Right.
helpful.
And that's the important thing. Is that I had a mentor say the other day, it's not is your competition going to run you out of business, but are you going to run yourself out of business because you're not excuse me, you're not keeping up with the technology.
Hmm.
So it could be something where you're going to hurt your own business because you're not moving forward with the technology that's available.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
now, another area that AI is really good for me is social media.
Hmm.
I have an AI chat or an AI program, and it's free, so I'll share that link with you. But it actually goes in and makes content for my business Facebook page, and you can make videos and you can make written content, and it's really good because you can put in your colors. You tell it what you do and everything like that. So it saves time, but it also gets those posts out there that we so desperately need.
Right.
It also will go, there's another program that's kind of a cousin to that, that you can go into a Facebook group and start a conversation with your targeted people. So maybe it's a business owner or something like that. It will start a conversation with them and lead that conversation to where you want to take it over and maybe introduce them to your business. So there's just so many things that AI is doing. And I feel like when I was in elementary school so many years ago, the teachers were saying, the computers are going to come out and they're going to save us so much time and we're just going to have such shorter work days and all of this. Honestly, when the computers came out, I felt like was working double because I was learning the programs, I was learning the process. And then once I learned that, I felt like, oh, well, I can do more. So I was putting more time on myself with the computer. This is the first time in my career that I really feel like we could really cut down the number of hours we're working because AI really can do a lot of this work.
Hmm. Or you can work just as many hours but get that much more done, which I think is
Right.
it's I always say create more time and then do with it whatever you want, whether that's you want to get more to the gym, whether you want to get more outside, or whether you want to take on some new opportunity. Ultimately there's no wrong answer, but
Mhm.
always optimizing and creating the opportunity to take on something new.
Right.
So another thing we can chat about, and I was reading kind of ahead and
Okay.
learning more about what you do is you had a very interesting perspective on what we can do offline to support our online presence.
We do. So on, or let's see. All right. Let's do online first. All right. So online, there's a program called Answer the Public, in which this will give you a list of questions that people are searching for. And I will always go in there and organize those questions because sometimes they kind of overlap each other. So I will go in there and use that to build up my content for my websites that we're doing for clients. On that website, you want to include Google Tools, which would be maps. So you can either include the area that you are, or what I prefer to do is include the area, embed the area that you serve. So that's telling Google where you serve. So the point of that is that Google's really pushing on local searches. So when people do the search like near me or in my city or things like that, then that tells Google where you are. The next point is that Google owns YouTube. So whenever you embed a YouTube video on your website, it's kind of like getting extra brownie points. And you could be like a video of you introducing your business, talking about something that you do, answering frequently asked questions. Just there's so many things that you could do a YouTube video on. Then I go in and I actually take the location area, the marketing area of that business, and I divide it up. So, for example, I have a business who does central Indiana. So it's a big area. So what we do then is we create a page for each of the towns that they would service. So there again, that page is talking about something in that town. It talks about the business and what they do. There's a map of that town. There's a video from YouTube about things to see in that town. There's a video about the business and what they do. And then we also include a Wikipedia link to of that town in the area, and then just putting the construction right in the title and the description. And that really helps boost up the rankings because that's telling Google again that you're really focused on that particular area. Now, offsite, of course, you want to have your reviews. And what I usually start off doing is I look at the competitors' websites because I want to know how hard I have to work. Not that I don't like working hard, but I don't like working harder than I have to. So I'll go in there and I'll check their sites, the people who are on the first three spots, find out how many backlinks they have. Do they have schema? How many reviews do they have? And then I would work on those areas. So, if I know that the guy has 20 more reviews than the client that I'm working for, we'll set up an automation program to get those reviews up. And then we'll do a lot of backlinks, we'll do press releases, and we'll work on the schema. And the schema is a computer kind of like coding. It's like the coding that Google reads. So it kind of gives Google more emphasis on the services and the location. So those are some of the off-site types of things that we would work on for our client.
Awesome. Yeah, the I remember when I first heard the term schema and
Mm.
started learning about that, and it's incredible how much can go into parts of the website that you actually don't see but are providing
Oh
such
yeah.
valuable information to Google. There's kind of this what you see versus what's going on in the background, and some of those are the key pieces that really are when we were kind of talking a little bit about aesthetics versus functionality. You can design a beautiful website, but if it doesn't have any of these other components, these are what's really causing some definite search issues.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's more than just building the website, but understanding the structure and all the things that Google's really looking at.
So what are some of the common pitfalls that you should avoid when trying to outdo the competitors online? So we kind of talked about the things that we do want to emulate, but what are the things that we maybe want to stay away from?
Wow, what do you want to stay away from? Let me think about that 1 second here. You don't want to keyword stuff. Google is really doing negative marks to people who are trying to really stuff a lot of keywords into content. So you don't want to keyword stuff because that's not going to benefit you. That's really the only kind of black hat thing that people have tried before that's been slapped on recently.
Right. Yes, because there are these changes in Google, and so they kind of update a couple of times a year usually
About
how they're
6 times a
ranking
year.
sites. Yeah. Well, the biggest ones that can make these big shifts, because you can have a website that's ranking very well, and then Google can update, and suddenly that same website is now not ranking so well, and then it's time to kind of
Right.
adjust the strategy.
That's true. It's and it's the little details that, like the mobile friendly and the fast websites. There's things like that that they say must happen. And those are the more major things that you want to make sure you keep track of.
Right. So if you had one tangible tip for a business owner that they could go and implement, obviously we talked about lots of different valuable pieces here today, and I recommend everyone go and do that mobile search right away. But if you had one additional tip that someone could go that you really think could make a big difference in their business, what would that be?
I would say if you're not able to get your website up and get it ranked and get all the Google rules followed, then do go in and hit YouTube. Go to Answer the Public, find out what people are searching for about your particular service, and do YouTube videos because it's the second largest search engine. So if you can't get on Google, then at least you can start getting some traction on YouTube.
Right, right. So where can people follow you? Where do you like to hang out online?
Probably Facebook is my more larger area, Facebook and LinkedIn. It's JFT Web Marketing. And I would love to offer your listeners a free SEO audit. And if they just want to send me an email at info@JFT Web Marketing and mention this episode, then I will give them a free SEO audit and just give them tips on what they could do themselves to make their website get ranked.
What a great offer, because that's really taking these tips and obviously personalizing them for their website. Well, thank you so much for being here. I think that it's been a very valuable episode, and that, as we said, websites are everyone has a website. And I think that there's varying levels of qualities of websites, some beautiful that are not so functional, some that hit both marks, some that are functional and maybe need a little facelift on the aesthetic. So overall, I can't think of many businesses that shouldn't have one. Such a valuable episode that applies to so many.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you having me.
Don't forget to click subscribe, comment below, and share the episode with a fellow entrepreneur. If you want to take us on the road, we are available everywhere you listen to podcasts. Thanks so much. See you next time.